All right, so we are on. So, guys, welcome to the Unfiltered Chat with yours truly, your host of the most of the time here in sunny side Dubai, MC Markose Chentittha, and we got the venerable George from Blockchain DXB. I mean, man, he has been covering the blockchain space, the tech space here in the MENA region since what, 2013, 2015? I hope I'm not making you sound dated, so like.
No, since around 2015-16 to be precise. It was before the Dubai blockchain strategy was launched. So
yeah. Okay. I'm going to say the 2013 because I like you, so,
Anyway. I mean, yeah, I've been in Bitcoin since 2013, so.
But yeah, exactly. Bitcoin, yeah. But in terms of, obviously, look, getting to Bitcoin, look, I know you definitely know some people who got on Bitcoin, like even earlier than that too. Obviously, we also know like Roger Ver. I mean, there are actually some people who I think maybe like 2 or 3 people I can't remember their names, but like they definitely got into Bitcoin before. I mean, like you also like the guy from Talk Live and stuff. But anyways, the point is, what I'm saying is like George has been in the space, covering Bitcoin, definitely covering the blockchain side of things, metaverse, and also AI as well. And I mean, you're talking some serious players in the space. So anyone who's watching, you can definitely check our credentials, especially George's credentials. He's been around the block. He has all kinds of interviews and insights. So that being said, welcome to the Unfiltered Chat. And man, George, what do we have today, sir?
I mean, this entire week is going to be absolute chaos, and I think our listeners should know as to the reason why the prices have actually gone down is because this entire week there are quite a lot of different economic data that is out. Now in US, on Monday it was Labor Day, and it was my girlfriend's birthday on the same day as well, so happy birthday to her. Now, this particular week, and it's very rare that you find all of these reports, happening one day after another. So on Tuesday, there was some data that was out. Yesterday, another data was out. Today, another data is going to be out. And on Friday, there's going to be another data that's going to be out. All of these data are absolutely critical. And they do indirectly impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, on Tuesday in US, which is technically Wednesday in Dubai, because, this data gets released somewhere between 8 to 10 a.m. in the morning. And it is kind of like 6 or 7 p.m. in Gulf Standard Time. So what I tend to do is I tend to cover it the following day. So on Tuesday, Markose, the IMS manufacturing, that is the PMI manufacturing and construction spending data was out. And unfortunately, the numbers are not looking good. So this data, it takes into consideration the world data, and then it compares how the United States of America is doing. And unfortunately, the numbers are not looking that great. Some of the matrix, if you actually go back to 2007, it is bad than that also. So what our listeners can do is, there is a link which I've shared with Markose, that is pmi.spglobal.com. You can actually go ahead and read through some of that information. You don't need to read through the entire bit because it is more about supply chain management, not necessarily connected to Bitcoin and such. But what you can do is you can copy paste that information, put it into any GPT, let's say ChatGPT 4.0, or any other GPT that you have, and ask that to give it some kind of explanation and how it is connected to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Now, yesterday, I'm kind of getting confused with the day because yesterday, that is Wednesday in the US and technically Thursday today, there was another data which is out, that is the US trade deficit, job opening, factory orders, auto sales information as well. Again, the numbers are not that great. On this particular data that got released Wednesday, or technically Thursday in Dubai, this data is for the month of July. Now, unfortunately, because the numbers are not looking that great, that's one of the reasons why what happened yesterday, the prices of Bitcoin and the global cryptocurrency market did actually go down, kind of similar to the Kamala crash. And I tend to look at these numbers, Markose, from my Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast every day. On Monday, the market cap of Ethereum did actually go below the $300 million mark. Tuesday, it pumped up slightly, but then it went back again. And later on, when we look at what is going on in the cryptocurrency world, we'll go and discuss what is going on in the world of Ethereum. A lot of negative news is actually surrounding Ethereum, unfortunately. But yeah, essentially this week it's going to be really, really crucial to see what is going to happen so far as the price of Bitcoin is concerned. Markose, the reason why this week is critical is in November you have the US elections coming up, isn't it? So, and whether we like it or not, all of this data, I would say 100% of this data is linked to, US government politics, what kind of policies they have. It also takes into consideration the geopolitical chaos. Now, I remember regarding this data, Markose, because the prices of Bitcoin went down, when Bitcoin, there was this national event, Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, was above silver as well. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was the sixth biggest asset, but it has gone down to number 10. So, that's one of the reasons why we need to look at this data, because it directly or indirectly impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Why I think, Markose, now people are looking at this data is pretty simple. Now we have tech giants like BlackRock, Vanguard, Franklin Templeton. They have gotten into the game, isn't it? That's one of the reasons why even CoinShares, I think probably for the first time they published a blog and they mentioned exactly all of these data. Because they never talk about this data. I'm seeing a lot of crypto influencers talking about it as well. The answer is really simple. Now Bitcoin has become an institutional investor's game, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah. Because ever since BlackRock entered the game, it kind of made sense, right? So everyone else is also looking into it. I know a lot of people say that, okay, Vanguard's not into it, but then again, Vanguard doesn't need to because they have shares in BlackRock too, so it doesn't matter. So, because I know we hear that conversations on the interwebs, I guess. So, but this is interesting. So I haven't I haven't got a chance to pay attention to in terms of the top 10 asset classes and stuff. So I remember a lot of people got excited about Bitcoin, going over silver, but things have kind of changed quite a bit. So definitely, but you're right. There is a lot of more institutions are coming into the game, the foray. I think, I don't know if I'm using the right words, but that being said, but I am kind of curious about there's not just me, but many other people too, how the US policy is going to come to play, and also a little bit off tangent. Got a chance to watch the interview between Lex Friedman and Donald J. Trump, which was really good, and I watched it not on YouTube but on X. So me, I'm sort of like a YouTube junkie, but seeing Twitter, seeing X, man, it's getting interesting, man. It's getting interesting. I'm also getting live news, live info on almost anything I'm getting right now, like in terms of who's who. Because anyways, regular people are. I mean, you don't have to be Donald J. Trump. They have 160 million followers, but you get to check out other people in your industry, in your sphere of influence. I see it as a clarion call. So anyways, I know I'm going off and I apologize, but I thought it's something to remind people, hey, you want to learn about what's happening, like say the economic data, there are some important people on X who are talking about it.
Yes.
So, so anyway, want to connect that. Anyway, go ahead, sir.
I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. That is probably the best channel to get a lot of crucial information from. Twitter or X, I think, is a brilliant source of information. You get direct information from first source. And the only thing I wanted to touch base on is Markose, and I'm not sure what to make of it, because on Thursday and Friday, on Thursday, the ADP employment report is going to be out, initial jobless claim will be out, but on Friday, Markose, is the employment report, employment rate, and the New York Fed president and the New York Fed governor is going to be speaking about as well. Now, if you remember, Markose, on the 1st of August, Federal Chair did have a session, or it was on the 31st of July, if I'm not mistaken, and the following day, the same report was out, and Japan panicked, and that caused a crash. And that's one of the reasons why we had an emergency meeting. If you remember, we did it on the 5th of August, which was on a Tuesday. I'm really not sure what the data would be. So are we heading towards another Kamala crash 2.0? Will we have another massive collapse of the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Based on the last 2 days' data, that is exactly what it is looking at. So, I'm really curious to check what's going to happen on the Friday's report. And more importantly, Marcus, it depends how the mainstream media tries to cover it. So, what kind of, are they going to create panic in the world? Because on similar news, what happened is on Tuesday, and I'm pretty much sure it was after the report that got published regarding the PMI manufacturing, the governor of the Bank of Japan, he did actually state that the numbers are not looking good and he wants to go ahead and increase the interest rate. So, that has kind of created a bit of panic. And these news at a macro level, they do have a very strong indirect correlation to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. That news suggests this definitely impacts the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But what we'll try to do is, hopefully on Tuesday, when we have another session, we'll touch base on, the other report that is published on Thursday and Friday, because I don't work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I won't be looking at that data.
That's
but
good.
On similar note, Marcus, I think our listeners should check what the central banks are doing. And there's a really interesting report which is published that talks about central banks. They have almost doubled their buying of gold. And on July, it stood at $37 trillion. So it looks like central bank all over the world, they are buying a lot of gold. And the answer to that is pretty simple. It is kind of connected to the reports that, is being published, and quite a lot of other reports as well. So, India, I believe, was in the top 3 purchasers of gold. Poland or Turkey, if I'm not mistaken, one of the biggest purchasers of gold.
Yeah, I know, because I remember, I'm following this guy, Joe Salente. He's I think, one of the world's leading trends researcher. From the Trends Institute, based in Kingston, New York State. So, and I remember, India. I remember there was reports of, that time, this is more than a decade ago or something. So, I know I'm telling my age, guys. So, the point is that, that's where the conversation of the BRICS coming in, and India at that time was a surprise of buying a lot of gold. Everyone expected the Chinese to buy a lot of gold, but India was buying tons of gold. But this kind of obviously laid some conversations about Bitcoin versus gold. I'm sure you remember 2013. So there was this initial conversations, especially with the libertarians and stuff. So, but I guess the point I'm coming with, especially with all these reports I'm hearing about, they are buying gold, the central banks are buying gold. But, I'm seeing the reports, but I guess when you look at history, the last time we saw the gold in Fort Knox was in 1960s or something. So I guess my question is, I'm seeing the reports, but I want to see the report, hey, this gold has been moved to this location or something. At least we know when it comes to Bitcoin, right? Okay, you check the UTXO, you can check which address it is. We have sort of a pseudonymous rich list, right? Okay, this is from Satoshi. We assume this is Satoshi Nakamoto. We have chain analysis and other analytic companies saying, okay, these addresses are from these exchanges. So we have a guesstimation. We kind of know where it is. But I guess I'm being suspicious, right? So apologies, but I'm just they're saying they're buying gold. Maybe that's true, but the question is how much gold there is, how much is being moved. So I want to see the paperwork. So, and this is for other folks out there. I mean, hey, the gold bugs, hey, talk to me, tell me what's up. You know what I mean? I get you, but yeah. So, anyway, that's one point I want to make.
No, you're absolutely spot on. And this goes back to the pillars of open blockchain, isn't it? I mean, publicly verifiability. Can we verify what the government has actually done? And it's so critical that, we'll also touch base later on when we touch base on CBDCs. Because in central banks, you can't publicly verify, let's say, central bank has gone ahead and purchased the gold, but not only the officials will be able to verify that. But yeah, what you're saying is absolutely spot on. And I'm really curious to check, Marcos, if Peter Schiff is going wild on X or Twitter. I'm pretty much sure he might be going crazy right now, isn't it?
He better be. Yeah, he better be. Which I respect. Look, I think we need guys like him to kind of like counter that narrative and stuff, and which I can respect it too. It's good to have opposing arguments, and I think what I like about him is that he hasn't been like disrespectful. Like he always had debates. Like for example, look, in many ways, like many of the folks who got into Bitcoin actually look up to him. You know what I mean? Like say for example, the Da Vinci Jeremy. So they just buy $1 Bitcoin or something. And he had a kind of like a friendly debate with Peter Schiff. So you all have any of the OG Bitcoiners, people who got in Bitcoin, they have immense respect for gold. Like especially many of them have been following Dr. Ron Paul and Paul also later on. But, Thomas Massey, gets sassy with Massey on X, I mean, like, we have our differences with Peter, but at the same time, we have a lot of respect for him too. So, so like, he is definitely an interesting person to listen to. I just don't like it when, like some of the BTC maxis, they just go like, insult mode or something. So, I feel that's sort of like a turn off.
No, I agree. I love his content. I think his content is brilliant.
That's my take about Peter Schiff. So overall, look, I respect him. I disagree on things, but not gonna go insult mode at him. But I do like the conversation between his son and his son. Because his son is into Bitcoin, right? He has a laser eyes thing, and there's a father-son moment, which I kind of like. I think it's kind of cool to have that kind of stuff. So.
And wasn't he the one, Markose, who had a YouTube series which was 1% of the 1% or something of that sort?
Oh yeah, the Wall Street. Yeah, look, dude. Oh, okay. So this is where I have major mad respect for him. All right, guys. Okay, to all the younglings, Gen Zs out there who might be watching this, look, me, George, many others, we are definitely familiar with Occupy Wall Street, right?
Yeah.
If you remember that. So Peter Schiff was the only multimillionaire who was going out on the street, and he was talking to these guys, about, he understands the problems, and he's teaching people how money is created. What is fractional reserve banking? What does the Federal Reserve do? Right, and having these conversations with many of them who are leftists, the leftist folks and liberal folks, there are different opinions, but we are pointing at the right problem, but we have a different way of solving the problem. So, but it is, and definitely he's a brave guy, and he was taking his time and going out there. Look, I'm one of the 1%ers, but I'm telling you, like the reason is that it's because of the money printing. It's because it's not like governments cannot print money. Like they can only take the money from the productive people. Like for example, George to some homeless guy or some illegal immigrant in San Francisco. All right. So, and talking about the central banking system, yada yada yada. But George, I gotta say, just to finish this off, like it is kind of interesting to remember those times. Occupy Wall Street, and now the same people, they are having parades with the banksters. How's that thing? Like, what?
I think things have changed, and wokeism has changed so much. You mentioned about illegal immigrant. I'm not sure if you can use the word illegal immigrant. They use the word.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
I think 100%.
Guys, please forgive me. I identify as a sassy black woman, so please forgive me. I've been through a lot of generational trauma, so that's why I'm having the 7-Up, because I want to go up. So yeah, that's just wanna. Now I'm going on not to talk.
No, but I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on. I think we covered quite a lot of important things. Now, the only question is, Markose, how does these reports that is published on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, how does it impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? I do feel temporarily the prices are going down, but in a short term and even in long term horizons, the prices will be pumping up because one of the biggest announcement that will actually happen on the 18th of this month is, the FOMC meeting. And what Jerome Powell will also be doing is he'll be looking at all these reports along with the inflation data and then go ahead and make a decision. Now, I'm pretty much sure this part of time he will definitely go ahead and reduce the interest rate. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, that would work out positive for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. In a theoretical world, if Jerome Powell reduces the interest rate, that should be the time when the prices of Bitcoin and Ethereum should actually go down. Because, the fiat currency is kind of doing better than the previous months. That's the indication it gives. But we still have at least a couple of decades to go to that point where, it is not kind of directly connected to the policy decisions that are done by Jerome Powell. But yeah, I do feel that because another metric, and this is what I did, Marcus. I asked my niece, if the gold price is increasing, can you tell me what kind of an impact will it have on Bitcoin? And she immediately said that some of the investors, they might try to go and buy Bitcoin as well. I wasn't sure, so what I did was, I put the data into ChatGPT-4 and I asked them, and that's exactly what ChatGPT-4 also said, that because gold is, a lot of investment is going into gold, some of the investors, they might, think, hey, why not let me go ahead and put some part of the investment into Bitcoin. Now, Simon Dixon, one of the OGs or kings of Bitcoin, who used to talk about Bitcoin even before Bitcoin was created, he's often talking about, a central bank, rather than, let's say, buying Bitcoin, or rather than buying gold. Could it be possible we can convince them to go ahead and buy Bitcoin? That would be an absolute game changer, isn't it? Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did actually state he will try to do that, but he's dropped down from the race. I'm pretty much sure, let's say, President Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, both of them would not do that. But could it be possible, let's say, some other developing country tends to do that? I feel, Marcos, only if a developing country will go ahead and buy Bitcoin and put it as a reserve, it would make sense. But let's say if an underdeveloped countries, or let's say even El Salvador does that, it's not going to make much of a difference. This is my honest opinion. What is your thoughts regarding that? Let's say if the UK goes ahead and says, hey, we're looking at the economic conditions, we want to go ahead and buy, let's say, Bitcoin or even Ethereum and put it as a reserve. I think that will have a knock-on effect in other countries, let's say like UAE. Countries. What is your thoughts regarding that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, like, if let's say, for example, El Salvador, it's a great marketing play. Okay, the legal tender, and say, like, the Central African Republic or any of the smaller nations, if they buy Bitcoin, add it as their reserve, from a marketing standpoint, the news number sounds great, but on an economic impact, look, it's nothing. So you're right, because again, if you're talking about size of economy, right? Now, if it is, like, if none of the top 10 countries, top 10 economies, they are gonna, if they do something like with Bitcoin, keep a reserve, yeah, sure, that would have some impact, right? But, unfortunately, on the political level, that's not going to take place. You still have generational gap within the legislature and stuff. I mean, there's a whole complex of things, but smaller nations can maneuver. Say, I don't know, let's say Barbados or something like that. Like, they'll have that ability. But if it is like, say, or let me exercise my thoughts. It doesn't have to be either like, the underdeveloped or developing countries, or, you got the developed nations or the G7 or whatever. Oh, let's also ignore the BRIC countries too. Maybe say one of, the new ones, the new kids on the block, N11, right? I mentioned earlier, like, you got like Philippines, Mexico, maybe like Egypt or something like that. If they do that, there might be a little, little splash or something. I don't know if you can hear it, but something. But from a grand scheme of things, it's not going to make much impact. But when one starts, they do create a ripple. And
Yeah.
so it'll just be I guess a question of matter of time. But if someone wants to argue with us on this, look, I can say look, the small countries won't make much difference because we're talking about M2, we're talking about money supply. It's just ridiculously huge compared to the size of the crypto market or even Bitcoin market itself. What? 1 trillion is what? Nothing. There's what? More than, I don't know, like 4 quadrillion. I don't know. Could be, that's, it's enormous, right? So.
You mean the world entire economy, you're saying?
Yeah, maybe
460 trillion.
Something like that. Yeah. Because I'm thinking like either economy or say like the money supply, right? Like in terms of assets and stuff, like say either the value is in cash or most of the value is in like say retirement accounts or in a lot of it real estate. So, and some in gold. Yeah. So.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that accounts for somewhere around $460 trillion, if I'm not mistaken, something around that figure. And the entire world, I could be wrong though, but if the listeners know more information, definitely let us know. But yeah, that is exactly what we wanted to discuss because it's going to have a massive impact, regarding the process. Do you want to touch base on what is going on in the crypto market world? Or there is a link, Markose, which I've sent to you, the second one. It just gives you it is not the official link. It's by MarketWatch.com. I'm not sure if you got that. This is not the official link, Markose. This is more of, they have just summarized it and just put it on bullet points. And it looks like they've just updated information for the 6th of...
Okay, hold on. Let me just share the screen.
Now, this is not official information, by the way. This is more like a summary of, from the official source. So there could be possibility that they might have made some errors as well. But it just gives you some information.
Is this the page we need to look at?
Yes.
Okay.
If it says Tuesday, 3rd of September, it just gives you some basic level information regarding the S&P final year's manufacturing PMI. And then if you click on it, it shows in-depth information. And then you have construction spending, ISM manufacturing. But what is crazy, Markose, about this link? They've already updated information for the 6th of September, and we are still in the 5th of September, isn't it? So I'm not sure where they've got that information from. Because I did check it a couple of hours ago. They've only updated it till the 4th, so I'm not sure where they've updated the remainder of the information from. Time travel, maybe, I don't know.
Yes, you know what? If you ask me, like more than a decade ago, like time travel is not possible. Like time travel is possible, I'd be like, ha. But hey, now I'm just like, you know what? I'm starting to believe it.
But what the listeners can do is, in my Crypto and Coffee Date podcast, I've given a detailed breakdown on the report that is published on Tuesday, but I covered it on the Wednesday's episode because of the time difference. The Wednesday's episode, I covered it on Thursday's episode, that is today. So the report that will be published on Thursday and Friday, most likely I'll summarize it and cover it on Monday. So listeners can definitely feel free to go and check out my episode, give it a 5-star rating and share the word across. Now, let's touch base on what did actually happen in the cryptocurrency world, Markose. Because as mentioned earlier, Ethereum has quite a lot of bad news. The first one is the market cap. It has been fluctuating on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. It did go below the $300 million mark. Just to give our listeners some context, in March of this year, the market cap of Ethereum was exactly around the $480 billion mark. It has actually gone down from $480 billion to below $300 billion, which means $180 billion has wiped off since the last 6 to 8 months. What is a bit bizarre and crazy is that during that time, an Ethereum spot trading has been approved, and the trading did go live as well. So in an idealistic world, the number should have actually doubled. But the only reason why this thing has happened is because, the ETF that has been approved, and we've gone through this over and over again, they do not have staking as a service, isn't it? Now, that is unfortunate so far as Ethereum is concerned. Roughly around a week ago, Marcus, there was an update regarding Ethereum that there has been a stark reduction in the gas fees. Now, when Ethereum gas fees reduces, the burning mechanism also gets impacted, which means there is more circulation of Ethereum because less tokens or ETH is burned, which kind of does not work good for Ethereum. Now, regarding the burning mechanism, Marcus, I'm not sure if our listeners know, but I absolutely love the EIP 1559, which is the London hard fork. Because what that does is, Marcos, what the burning mechanism essentially does, not necessarily for Ethereum, you can actually go ahead and put it at a public address which does not have a private key, which means it kind of reduces the supply. Now, central bank digital currencies, whether we like it or not, they may get mainstream adoption, may not get mainstream adoption, but the only advantage I can think regarding central bank digital currency is, let's say if the government sees that the inflation is picking up and there is too much of money in the market, because it is digitally controlled by them and they have full access to everyone's CBDC or coin, what they can do is they can go ahead and put certain coins or CBDCs into a public address that does not have a private key, which means that amount of CBDC is completely gone and that would manage the inflation real time.
Okay.
Because what happens is, in case of a fiat world or in case of, the regular digital dollar or the dollar, Federal Chair Jerome Powell, he has to go ahead and make a decision to increase the interest rate. So when he increases the interest rate, people will stop spending. Then it takes, a couple of months for that effect to take place. But with CBDC's burning mechanism, this thing I don't see a reason why it should not happen instantly. So let's say, for instance, Marcus, let's take a hypothetical situation. There is $30 trillion worth of CBDC or UAE CBDC.
Yeah.
You're seeing that the inflation is going high. What we can do is take, let's say, 5 trillion of those CBDCs, put it into a public address. So now the supply is reduced to $25 trillion. So you'll be able to manage inflation instantly. So this is the beauty of, the EIP 1559, that is the London hard fork upgrade. So and even Binance does it. And I'm pretty much sure now almost all of the blockchain protocol does this, isn't it? So what burning mechanism is, you essentially take those tokens, put it into a public address. They're kind of burnt and it gets reduced from the supply. And this is a genius move, I think. So do you think CBDCs may implement that? Look, we don't like CBDCs. I think this is one of the only benefits of CBDC. I think so. This is the only benefit I can think of CBDC. It's not to say that we can't do it on, say, with cryptocurrencies, because almost all of the cryptocurrencies are going to do that.
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's funny you brought the topic of CBDCs because just yesterday I just got a message from my professor back in the States. So he is the mayor of Plainview, Texas, a small town in West Texas. So he asked me about CBDCs, what my thoughts. He also read some books from the Cato Institute. So they covered about digital control. Now, in terms of like the burn mechanism or something, like I think that's one approach to things. But I was kind of thinking about like for the example of Ripple. Now, Ripple, like back in the early days, so one of the questions was that like one of the co-founders, he's going to sell all his XRPs, so that's going to crash the price and stuff. So and people it was sort of like an accusation from the community, but that kind of came true because the guy wanted to or something. So I think so. What they did was they created some sort of I would say like a smart contract where they send all the guy XRP or whatever. With this time lock mechanism, and it will really release like certain XRP or something. So that's also I would assume like they would go like the central banks, they would go on that route. So that's something like that was something that would kind of make sense, I guess. So I could see that could happen, I guess.
That is a brilliant idea as well. Yeah, what you're saying. So they could put it, let's say, in a smart contract that every month, let's say, X number of coins gets reviewed. I think that is a brilliant idea as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So and like what do you say with the and also like to relay confidence to the community. I'm using the example XRP, like it has a public address so people can check and see. So maybe if I don't know if if the folks from the central banks, if they want to prevent a social unrest or something, hey, you know what? We're going to put this public, so people can see and like ensure. I don't know, but
No,
again, giving my I don't know. This is a thought, but
no, what
do they
you're
do it?
saying
I
is
don't
spot
think so.
on. No, the thing is, what you're saying is spot on, but the danger with that is they can still double spend, Marcos. So let's say they have a public address, it'll show
Yeah.
20 trillion CBDCs 19, 18, 17, but because of double spending, what they can do is they can remove, let's say, 100 to 100,000 CBDCs, put it into their own wallet, and just rewrite the ledger. That is essentially what double spending is, isn't it? They can rewrite the entry and they can essentially commit fraud. So, I think the key thing is, and that's, I often keep saying one of the biggest invention of Satoshi Nakamoto was he solved the double spending problem. But with CBDCs, 100% you can double spend. Even the same thing with Ripple. You can have a smart contract, keep it completely publicly open source. But if you're in a position to go ahead and double spend, which means behind the back, you can go ahead and change the ledger, like physically go ahead and change the ledger. 20,000 gone into my account. Let me go ahead and delete that. Copy paste it once again. So that is one of the dangers. So I think our listeners should check out what double spending is. That is, I think, the biggest innovation of Satoshi Nakamoto. But regarding the Ripple part, I think what he's saying is absolutely spot on. I think CBDCs could probably implement something similar. I don't see any challenges in doing that because it is pretty simple. You just create a public address without a private key, and it is very simple to do that. It literally takes less than 5 minutes to go and create a public address without a private key. Yeah, I think so. Now going back to Ethereum, I think the Ethereum spot ETF, the numbers are not that great. The first month, I think the trading did actually go live on the 23rd of July, and the first month the outflows were ridiculously bad. It was $476 million. And now on my Crypto and Coffee a Day podcast, Markos, that are released today, there's an interesting report that is being put up by coinmatrix.io that talks about the transaction on layer 1 channels, that is, let's say, Bitcoin, Solana included, and Ethereum has drastically gone down. And it has gone down in just a matter of last 2 months. And this is, after the whole crash that we talked about last month. So the last 2 months, even the transaction is not doing that great. But Marcos, my key indicator is, I tend to look at the volume of stable coins. Now look, the day we did the emergency meeting, Marcos, the volume of stable coins shot up to, I think it was over $200 billion, if I'm not mistaken. And even the decentralized exchange dominance percentage was 50%. Unfortunately, the volume of stable coins is low, which just means one thing, that people are not converting the cryptos when the prices are going down. They are not parking it onto stable coins. Rather, they are converting it into fiat currency. And that, to be honest, is not a good sign, isn't it? So I do feel probably till the 18th of September, we might see that the prices might be going down. And I don't think so we might see the prices bumping up at least till for maybe 7 to 10 days. But like we always say, Marcos, our price predictions are 100% right 50% of the time, isn't it? And not financial advice.
Yeah, and I just want to add, we've seen this all happening like in September and stuff. I like to call it rectangle. And if you look at the past, since 2013, right? Just example of Bitcoin. Usually at this time of the year, only maybe like thrice or something, like Bitcoin was in the green zone, but a lot of times it was in the red. So, I think for me, I'm not that concerned about the price of Bitcoin or even also Ethereum. I would just, suggest people just manage your money correctly and be able to, not only just buy assets like Bitcoin, but also maybe Nvidia, for example. I know, it's gone. They lost, Nvidia, went down, lost like $300 billion or something. But even in the stock markets too, things have gone down quite heavily too. So, because, the FDI is targeting NVIDIA because of the antitrust thing and, with the chips and you have to use their software, blah, 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 that kind of deal. So, but I think, because sorry, just correct me if I'm wrong. This year we had the Bitcoin halving, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
And I believe that usually we see, I don't know, I feel like usually like 90 or maybe let's say like 160 to 180 days after that, we might see some dramatic increase. I could be wrong. I hope I'm correct, so I'm just like, just practice responsibly, but usually I feel that there is an upward trend. So, and that's something for folks to keep in mind. I know like there's so much distractions out there. I think we need to focus on certain signals, I guess. So that's the point I want to make.
You're absolutely spot on, Markose. And I think one of the reasons is because, the Bitcoin halving most often happens in the election year as well, isn't it? And,
interesting timing.
180 days, because that is the time when the president, they have, most of the time they get the Senate and Congress in their hand and they can do what they want to do. So the timing matches perfectly well. So what you're saying does make a lot of sense. And historically, it has been proven as well. So yeah, I 100% agree to that. And this year, U.S. election is going to be absolutely massive as well, because it's going to be regarding, President Trump versus Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And this year in particular, I think there were more than 40 countries in going for elections, isn't it, Markose? So I'm not sure if you've seen the news regarding, was it Mexico or Brazil? Mexico has banned Twitter or X, isn't it?
Oh, no, Brazil. It was Brazil.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Brazil,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at the news and they're saying that he won the election, but apparently he did not. I'm not sure what is going on, but yeah, it's going to be really curious to see if we can actually implement a blockchain technology for voting. Charles Hoskinson has been saying this for almost a decade, and to be honest, I don't see, blockchain technology merging with voting. It would be great if it can happen, but definitely not.
Yeah, no, but because that's, I think in terms of like integrity and responsibility, those two are like kryptonite to bureaucrats and politicians. So I just don't. I don't see that. If they say they're using blockchain, I'll be way more suspicious because I'll be like, most likely it's centralized blockchain, aka it's a software, as you mentioned in the previous unfiltered chats, live stream sessions. So
yeah, and the only thing which I think we should have mentioned earlier on regarding the report that is published this week, it is kind of not only connected to cryptocurrency and blockchain, but even artificial intelligence, because we often talk about AI as well, isn't it? So that data is connected to AI as well. So maybe what one of our listeners or what we can do as Markose is just put all of this data into ChatGPT-4 and just ask us how does it impact artificial intelligence and what does that data say. It may not be 100% correct, but it just gives us some idea, isn't it? As to how it is connected. Because truth be told, this data is absolutely boring because it goes through every month, how much it has increased, how much it has gone down. It compares it to the previous months and years. We don't need to do that as humans now. We have the AI to do it. So I think it makes sense for us to go ahead and use that. Now let's talk about Bitcoin mining, Markose, because I talked about this in my episode on Tuesday. It has reached a new all-time high at 742 extra hashes per second.
Bam!
Bitcoin security is great, but don't you think that the security is a bit too much? It is kind of like saying, I have a room and I have, let's say, 8 doors with 16 locks so that no one enters. Having security is great, but too much of security, is it a good thing? You can make an argument it is a good thing, but how I look at it, Markose, is this just shows about human greed, isn't it? That some of them want to be part of the mining pool. They want to go ahead and accumulate as many Bitcoin as much as possible because they are anticipating Bitcoin prices to reach new all-time high. So it looks like Satoshi Nakamoto was not able to solve the whole human greed versus the game theory and the limited supply of Bitcoin, in my opinion. But yeah, I think I do
Maybe, I
feel.
don't know. I guess I would just, I guess in terms of like, if there are more people coming in, I guess that's great. I think it's just a matter of time how long these people are going to stay. Because it's going to, the stronger the network, the more resources they need, then, for the miner, they would have to put actual, like real assets and stuff into play. So, so that would be, I guess, kind of interesting to see how that goes. So, anyways, I'm just kind of curious to see like, how long some of these mining players can last. So,
I think, a lot of them will go belly up and a lot of them will be take know about the companies. We did cover a couple of news where they are taking know about big companies. Does that lead to centralization? And the answer to that is yes. Because, some of the giant mining companies, they will be acquiring some of the smaller mining pools. And it eventually leads to centralization, isn't it?
Yeah, because I remember like either was it like the Riot platform.
Yeah.
I know they have bought some bankrupt, Bitcoin miners because there were, I mean, like, I know, like, see, not in most of the Bitcoiners, honestly, they don't pay attention to some of the, the Bitcoin mining facilities all across the world. Like, some of them have gone bankrupt. So, which is like, which is fine because that's a free market, at play. So, if you're getting into the game, you need to have capital, you need to have talent, you need to have systems in play to make, to keep, the security of Bitcoin alive.
Yeah.
But there's also, which also opens up to the other conversations I think we can have later with regards to, the transaction fees and, talk about the block size and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. It's, yeah, which will bring up the previous conversations doing the hash wars, the block size wars. Yeah. So definitely we will be revisiting those conversations. So, which is already happening in the BTC space, particularly as well with ordinals and stuff. So, I know that's something to, be aware of and watch out. So, I know, because I'm not seeing not much happening in the ordinal space too. So I don't know, like, I'm sure there is, but in terms of intensity, what it was like last year, like end of last year, I don't know. That's I haven't seen the numbers, but I'm curious to know.
I mean, the only thing what I can tell our listeners is if you want to find out how the Bitcoin mining industry works, particularly after the halving, Laura Shin, the host of Unchained, in 2020, she released at least 3 or 4 episodes, and they were discussing more from the economies of scale point of view and how these miners, they take bank loans. So it is a really interesting podcast. It is not regarding the price of Bitcoin as such, but how the mining industry operates. It's really, really helpful episode so that she has put out. Now let's talk about a favorite topic which I do not like, that is DeFi. Marcus, simple question. Is DeFi dead? What do you think? I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
The numbers are absolutely horrendous.
Let me put a pause and spin. I know numbers are down, things are down, but I do believe there might be a pump. I do believe there'll be a rise because I guess, there's a saying, right? It is always darkest before the dawn, I guess, or whatever they're saying. So with regards to DeFi, I hope so. I do believe that, I guess if you're seeing it from a mainstream side of things in terms of DeFi, like if you're looking at like, say, I don't know, like Ethereum, maybe, I don't know, I don't know, Solana in the DeFi game or something, or Memecoin, and I'm just making assumptions. But I do believe that there is a renaissance in the privacy space, with this project called, particularly this project called Zano, Zano. So you could think of Zano as how do you say, a privacy form of Ethereum where you could create your own tokens, which has, PETs, privacy enhancing technologies. I think there is a sort of this renaissance sort of taking place on the underground level. That's what I'm seeing too. So, am I seeing it like, because I'm not paying attention to what's happening at Ethereum or stuff like, just because I'm not seeing much. So, and I think you agree there's not much activity going on. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna say maybe like 1 billion or something going, but which is nothing, right? Or even less than that, right?
Like,
Because
regarding
I'm not hearing.
Are you talking about Ethereum or DeFi or?
Sorry, DeFi in general, but I'm curious about Ethereum because I'm not hearing much. So I'm not.
There is news surrounding Ethereum. I mean, they are doing, they had the Duncan upgrade, but nothing.
Oh, that was a couple of months ago, right?
Couple of months ago, yeah. I mean, last couple of weeks ago, there was the Ethereum Foundation spendings. So people were questioning the spendings of what is going on regarding Ethereum. But other than that, no, there's not much going on. But there's one news that did actually happen today, Marcus, and I'm not sure if you've seen that.
Oh,
that is regarding Uniswap Labs versus CFTC.
They got fined.
They got fined, and they even paid up the fine as well.
What's like $175K?
$170,000 here, but I believe they paid somewhat similar amount, and the chapter got closed. But yeah, I mean, so CFTC is also questioning, what Uniswap, because what happens is, I tend to look at the decentralized exchange volume on a daily basis, and I was wondering why the volume of DEXs or decentralized exchanges are not pumping up. Now I know the reason why. And, ideally speaking, Marcos, when we talk so much about decentralization, we talk about, no one should have control over your data, the entire world should be decentralized. The entire world should be decentralized. This should be the time when the market is going down, where the volume of decentralized exchange should be pumping up, isn't it? Unfortunately, the volume since 2022 has been on a downtrend for DeFi. And I've said this thing also, Marcus. 2020 to 2022, on an average given day, the volume of DeFi used to be somewhere between the $12 to $16 billion. Now it is barely crossing the $5 billion mark. Surprisingly, I'm looking at it right now. It has just crossed the $5.04 billion mark. So it has just crossed the $5 billion mark probably for the first time this year, or maybe the second or third time this year. Unless they do it on Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. But honestly, I was kind of hope that there's some like interesting news. I mean, other than what I'm seeing in the price space, I see something is coming up. So, that I'm keeping my eyes on. But like, I think on the general DeFi stuff, I mean, even also with Bitcoin too. I mean, like, there's not much going on. So I guess maybe because it's September, so you're not seeing much. So I don't know, but my personal conviction, I was kind of hoping that there would be, sort of a revival, right, in the DeFi space. I don't know, I'm using a lot of religious terms, but it makes sense in this regard, right?
Hopefully, MakerDAO's new project, that is Skydot Money, turns out to be the ChatGPT moment for DeFi. Because the reason why I'm talking about DeFi, Marcus, is because the narrative regarding DeFi was so high, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think after the ICO, DeFi was the biggest hype, probably much better than meme coins, like how people are talking about meme coins. DeFi strength, because when I used to prepare for my Crypto and Coffee Day podcast, I used to get so many news regarding DeFi, yield farming. You can take one loan after another loan, the flash loan, how it works. None of these news, I haven't seen absolutely any news since almost 18 months. Not any massive news as such. You're just seeing teeny tiny snippets of news regarding decentralized finance.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered pretty much everything, isn't it, Marcus? If any of the listeners have any questions or something, we can definitely answer them. Do you have any update from your end, Marcus?
Update from Ort, yes, we do. I mean, we did have our town hall, our monthly town hall session on X. So the news is that because right now the chairman of Ord Foundation, Michael A. Robinson. He's in Korea Blockchain Week, and we also have a new member joining the leadership. His name is Denuka. So he is ex Ripple and ex GSR, which is a well-known market maker in the crypto space. So he'll be working on, the tokenomics and working with, also, there are market makers all across the world. So because our ambitions is to, we're already on like some of the major tier 2 exchanges in terms of, I guess, market branding or something like that. But we do hope to be more on, like, I guess, DEXs, but also other, I guess, centralized exchanges and stuff. So, but also like in terms of, we have been working a lot with some of the miners, especially with strengthening our or the edge node system, network system in terms of, like, storing your data and processing your data as well. So that's something we discussed about. So yeah, and from my side, we will be launching some. We're definitely in the works of finalizing our events plans this month with some amazing partners from Society X and also our friends from Chain ID, and also an upcoming Web 2 and Web 3 cyber security company by the guy. His name is Tamangna Basu. So he has been working with ISRO, with India's defense, I guess, in terms of research. And he's been covering the AI security, the cybersecurity space for a long time. So definitely we're going to have some meetups, networking sessions, but I'm also excited to have some workshops where we will be collaborating with other L1s in the space. So it'll be here in Dubai. It'll be at the In5, the In5
Knowledge
Hub at the Dubai Media City or Knowledge Village, right? So right next to, I guess, I guess, according to the map, it shows Dubai Media City, but really it's actually technically it's close to Knowledge Village or KV, and depending on what the kids call it. But so yeah, we're gonna have it over there, so that'll be kind of cool. And yeah, so that's something I'm looking forward to. So definitely you're gonna see me more active, talking, getting Ort out there, getting people to understand, why you need to start using, decentralized storage for all your everyday needs. And also, what is our plans in terms of our new product, Data Hub and Compute? So, definitely going to have some AI speakers, and also we're going to have the one and only George also to drop by, and we're going to have these unfiltered chats also live streaming over there as well. So we definitely want to do that, and it's going to be somewhere between like either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So we want to honor people's time in terms of keeping the weekend as a weekend. So yeah, that's anyway. That's the game plan. So you'll be the first to know, y'all. You'll be the first to know. So that's about it, sir.
That's absolutely wicked, yeah. And I think on Tuesday, Markose, we are planning another session. And this is someone who has done, let's say, masters or MBA. They should know that we are planning to have, a session on Porter's 5-force model. So I personally like this, because I studied this when I was doing my master's as well. So we'll touch base on how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies work, keeping in mind, Michael Porter's 5-force model. That is the bargaining power of suppliers. We'll be touching base on miners, and something which you touch base on, Markose, is regarding miners, the economies of scale. It becomes difficult for new entrants to get into the mining, isn't it? So we'll touch base on, the threat of new entrant, competitive rivalry, the threat of substitute. Because look, when Metaverse hype kicked in, a lot of the investments from Bitcoin and blockchain did actually go to Metaverse. Now looks like the funding is actually going to AI. So when we talk about threat of substitute, it does not necessarily has to be from the same industry. Classic example I can think of is Instagram. They kind of completely destroyed the camera industry. So it does not necessarily have to be from the same industry. And we'll talk about the bargaining power of buyers like BlackRock, Vanguard, Franklin Templeton, Michael Saylor, them accumulating Bitcoin. What kind of an impact does it have? So if our listeners have any points that they want to add, or if you have any other suggestions, more than welcome to let us know what it is. But I think that should be pretty much so, isn't it?
Yeah, that should be it, fam. So and I guess we'll end it off with stay tuned for Tuesday.
Yep.
Looking forward to go back to school with George on what do you say, Forces.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'll be definitely an interesting segment for me because it's been a while. So a lot of I think for me, I'm expecting relearning, reimagining how things work in the marketplace, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, and talking about crypto, and also AI as well too, because so anyway, my goal is especially also I mentioned with George too, we wanted to reach out to some of the people who are in the AI space. So I know I'll do my best to schedule the people as early as possible so we could have these unfiltered chat conversations, especially on AI, because I'm kind of curious. Are we, especially with Nvidia, losing $300 billion? That's a huge whammy. So I guess one of the questions is, are we in the bubble with AI? Who knows?
I mean, even if you're in a bubble, it's not necessarily a bad thing, isn't it?
No, that's true. True. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and keeping in mind, the Potter's five force model, the threat of substitute, could it be possible that investment from AI goes into a Neuralink, the brain implant which Elon Musk has done, or let's say ESG, which is nothing connected to AI or cryptocurrency. So we'll definitely have a chat. We can probably add AI in that Potter's five force model, and we'll definitely go to have a chat on that thing also.
All right, fam. So, anyways, we gotta go. So y'all be good, y'all be safe, and we will talk to you soon. You'll all have a wonderful Thursday and a wonderful weekend.
Take care, guys.